What makes Baylor Texas so special as a rivalry that people really get into?
I would say that it's probably just, goes back to being in the Southwest Conference together. I think that it's the combination of not only the fact that I think both teams are really good, it's just also about Texas and the state. And it's an in-state rival, hour and a half down the road, and lots of kids that know each other, played together maybe in club ball, played together in high school, played against each other. So the internal rivalries kind of occur naturally because there's quite a few Texas kids.
How have you seen the anticipation for this matchup grow over the years?
Well, I mean, it's definitely grown in the last 2 or 3 years from a fan perspective, I think, and maybe a media perspective, just because we've gotten a little more competitive with it. And, you hope that that continues to be the case because I think it's good for women's basketball. I think it's good for the state of Texas. And I think it's good for our league.
How big was winning there last year?
I think it was a definite sort of confidence builder or something that it needed to happen for us. I mean, for anyone to think that this was a rivalry, probably. I definitely think it was good for our players and for our program.
Karen, so much is made of it's Karen versus Kim, all this, the rivalry. What fans are. They relish these opportunities. But what are the conversations like between you and Coach Smokey ever? Or the fans make more out of it than it really is?
Honestly, there aren't a lot of conversations just because, I mean, we're not, like that as far as we don't pick up the phone and call each other, and we see each other at Big 12 meetings, and that's kind of the way it is with most of the teams in the Big 12. I mean, I don't have relationships with the coaches in a sense that we're going to call each other once a week and have, coffee talk by any means. And I wouldn't say that it's any different with Kim than it is any of the coaches that are in the league. I mean, I do have coaches that I have personal relationships with that we check in with each other once a week, but it's not necessarily anybody in our league just because maybe I was a young pup at this, being in the league. I mean, there's a lot of coaches that have been in this league for a while, and that's just not the case.
But that's the case also with coaches in a conference. There's not a lot of that going on anywhere across the country.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that it's expected that you're in the middle of league play and you're having weekly conversations or anything. I mean, that's just the way that it is, other than, you see each other again. We all see each other at the Big 12 meetings, and we're cordial, and we like each other, and it's nice to kind of let your hair down and sit by the pool and talk shop a little bit when you're at those meetings. But otherwise, unless something has happened, for example, what's happened with Andrew has really, I thought, shown the class of our league and the coaches in the league. And I think when you have those type of situations where camaraderie is expected and needed, among our profession, when you have things that happen like that, then you see coaches bond together. But otherwise, we're in the middle of competition, and that's just how it is.
I think, correct me if you didn't say this, but I know Coach Ariema said it last year that, this people have always said it's unhealthy for the game, the way how much they dominate. And he said, it's good it's time for everyone to catch up. But for you and Kim with Texas and Baylor, the intensity that you guys had, don't you think that's healthy for this game?
I think as long as it's about the kids and it's about the women's game, then any rivalry is healthy. And any time that you're getting attention based on what's going on the court, then I think that's a great thing for our game. And I said this early in the year. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we play Tennessee every year, because the fans love it. And it's a nationally recognized game, and it's something that Holly and I wanted to continue because it's what Jody and Pat did. And I think that, I mean, all of our responsibilities are to continue to grow the game. It's the reason why I hope we continue this series with UConn. Not because I think I'm going to beat his butt every year, but I hope at some point we do. And I do think that we've become competitive enough that it's become national interest. And I think the Baylor game is that. I think it's a nationally recognized game that gives our sport credibility and it gives our sport attention.
Do you know of another rivalry in the country in conference that is as strong as this one?
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm not paying attention to that as much as I either need to or have time to. But, I mean, I spent enough time in North Carolina to know what Duke and Carolina was like. So there's got to be rivalries like this across the country. I'm sure on the West Coast,
Oregon State, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I saw Oregon State play each other within 48 hours, and that first one was a bloodbath. So, yeah, I mean, I would think that there's several that would stack up to this one.
Did you have a relationship with Jamaica?
I did. I recruited her, and as I spoke about Andrew, I think that's another situation where you you just take a step back and realize that, you build relationships with these young people, and, that's just, I knew her family, and it's absolutely tragic that any young person would lose their life at the age that she was at, and I'm sure that they'll pay a very special tribute to her tomorrow.
Kim yesterday said that happening on Sunday puts basketball in its perspective. She says, in the end, we're just playing a game. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. It is a game. There's a whole lot more things going on in life that have much more meaning than what we're doing. I mean, it's our profession and our livelihood, and it means a lot to the kids and the fans and all of that. But at the end of the day, you go home and deal with real life problems, and that just happens to be real life, what's happened in their world.
Coach, how do you prepare your team going into that atmosphere tomorrow?
I think we've been in a lot of atmospheres, so I think that one thing that I've noticed about our team is that they're getting more comfortable as the years go on, and you have enough players that have experience in big games that they seem comfortable. And that doesn't mean that it's going to equate to a good performance or a bad one or anything like that, but I do think that our team has become comfortable with being in a big game atmosphere, whether it be at home or on the road. And I actually think one of the big tests for us, in my eyes, was the UConn game last week. And again, no moral victories whatsoever, but I can remember a year or two back when we had that type of crowd for the Baylor game, actually. And we didn't react very well at all. We almost froze we did freeze on our home court. And for us to come out and look comfortable with the atmosphere and the expectations that come along with that atmosphere, I was very proud, and you could definitely see the progress that our program's made.
Karen, I have to ask something totally off topic. Saw Imani last week and at the Black Student Summit, and we talked for a while for a feature I'm doing on her. And we hit all the topics from JaVale to you to, I said, what would you do different or to tell young ladies?
I hope she said she would listen.
Yeah, she said everything you said, and she said, quote, I was a brat. And I said, did you tell Coach Aston that? And she said, yeah. And I said, what did she say? And you told her.
Yeah, she absolutely was a brat. No question about it. And I mean, it was wonderful to see Imani back, and her speech, and in particular the fact that our team was able to be at that event, which was a tremendous event for our university. Imani taught me as much as I taught her, and I say this all the time for all of those kids that come in here next. And we have a few on our team right now that I'm not sure I would have the patience if it hadn't been for Imani. But Imani taught me a lot about perseverance and how to have patience with a young person and let them grow up and grow into who they need to be. And I wouldn't say I was really very good at that, but she definitely taught me a lot about that. She was really good the other day. She's grown up a lot. They do grow up.
Yeah.
Eventually,
Yeah.
they do grow up. I think Coach Conrad used to say all the time, and I mean, now that I've been doing this long enough, I do understand it. One of her sayings was, let's see, how did she say it? It was something like, about the time that they figure it out, it's time to leave. And that absolutely, it is the truth. Just when you think, okay, they finally got this figured out, it's their senior year, it's the last semester of their senior year, and they've got it all pretty much under control, and then, you know, somebody else gets the absolute best of them, that's our jobs.
Yeah.
Who are the brats on this team?
No comment. They know who they are.
Speaking of post plays, I mean, obviously Kalani Brown's been having a tremendous year, and she's had some big games against that. How big? I mean, it's all important in all those matchups, but how important is it with rebounding and the way that Baylor plays the post in this game for your group?
Understatement to say important, because they're just that good. Their post play is that good, and we have to, first of all, have a collective effort. It can't just be one person thinking that they can take care of Kalani or Lauren or anybody else that goes in the paint. It's got to be a collective effort from our team. And when you get to this point where you play somebody, and again, you can go back to the UConn game or the Tennessee game and the ones that we fell short, when you look back at that, it was possessions that we didn't value, whether it be boxing out or taking a poor shot, or, you know, that you just, against top 10 opponents, you have to value every single second of that game and every possession of the game. And I'm hoping that we continue to grow in that part of our, you know, part of the games. I mean, there's times that we're really, really good, but our consistency as far as valuing possessions has to be better.